Hi, I'm Barry Lituchy, Executive Director of Jasenovac Research Institute and co-president of the Holocaust Park Committee. We're here today to commemorate the 77th anniversary on this day, April 22nd. Today is April 22nd, 2022, the 77th anniversary of the self-liberation of the remaining surviving prisoners of Jasenovac in the Jasenovac extermination camp in the independent state of Croatia. Hundreds of thousands of inmates at Jasenovac perished. Hundreds of thousands of Serbs, Jews, and Romas who were sent there to their deaths by the Croatian fascists between 1941 and 1945. And this crime has never really been fully appreciated or acknowledged by much of the public. Much of the world is still unaware of it. However, we have been here for 20 years. Actually, this is the 20th year that we've commemorated the liberation, self-liberation of the camp by the remaining 100 or so that survived from the breakout. They survived and they broke out. Many of them died on that day. There were 1,000 of them, and most of them were killed by the Croatian fascists, the Ustaša, on that day. But the ones who survived with the message that the world needs to know what happened at Jasenovac. And so we have kept that message alive in the Jasenovac Research Institute and in our commemorations here at the Holocaust Memorial Park for the past 20 years. We established the Jasenovac Research Institute essentially to make the world know about the fascists in Croatia and their crimes of genocide against Serbs, Jews, and Romas. And so it's a crime that the current Croatian government does not fully acknowledge or recognize, and we established this monument to the victims of Jasenovac in 2005. And so each year on April 22nd, we come here to commemorate the liberation and the end of the Jasenovac camps. And as you can see here, and there were more than it was a vast complex. The Jasenovac camps. As you can see here, the ribbon says, "In memory of the 77th anniversary of the end of Jasenovac," and it's a day that the whole world needs to recognize and commemorate, because those crimes, they were among the worst ever committed by the Nazis or their collaborators in World War II. And the Nazis are still with us, unfortunately, today. There are many neo-Nazis in Croatia. There are many still in the Ukraine. This is the cause of much of the suffering in the world today. So we have to keep this memory alive. We have to acknowledge what happened here. And we hold an annual conference as well. This year, the conference will take place on Zoom on May 1st, where we discuss the history of the genocide in Croatia, but also in general, in the context of the Holocaust in general, which the Croatians played a very important part in the story of the Holocaust. And until there is a full acknowledgement of those crimes by Croatia, there can never really be peace or justice in the Balkans or in Eastern Europe or in the world. And so we're going to continue to commemorate. We're going to continue to remember the brave anti-fascists also who were killed at Jasenovac. At least tens of thousands of anti-fascists, communists, and others who fought the fascists, including many Croatians who were anti-fascists. And so we have kept this memory alive. We've kept this struggle alive so that the people remember who died there. Among Jews who died in Jasenovac, there were more than 25,000 just in Jasenovac alone who were murdered. There were among the survivors some Jewish survivors, as there were some Serbian and Croatian survivors. The number of Serbs who died is in the hundreds of thousands. The number of Romas was perhaps as high as 100,000 who were killed at Jasenovac. And of course, the Romas suffered perhaps the worst catastrophe of all of the three nationalities that were targeted for genocide in the independent state of Croatia and in the Balkans by the Nazis. The total percentage of Romas who were murdered was close to 100%. So yes, the Romas in fact were the first to be killed at Jasenovac, or when they were brought there, they were killed almost immediately in the camps. And of course, the plan of the fascists was to occupy the whole of former Yugoslavia, take over Croatia, Bosnia, other parts, in cooperation with the Nazi German Empire at that time. And this is still a serious issue for us to consider today because of NATO, and because that NATO expansion, in a sense, represents the continuation of this conflict, of the fascist effort to expand and impose their racist ideology in Eastern Europe. We cannot rest, and we cannot permit this kind of ideology to spread in Eastern Europe today. And one of the ways in which we can fight it is by commemorating the victims and reminding the world of the crimes that took place at Jasenovac from 1941 to 1945, where hundreds of thousands were murdered. So I thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next year on this day, April 22nd, the day of liberation for the remaining survivors of Jasenovac's concentration camp.